Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 35 of the Overnight Feed recaps for Big Brother Season 24. And welcome to Cliff Notes as well. A good Wednesday morning to y'all. All right, now, first of all, this part of the week, sometimes we're getting close to the eviction. We've got the nominees set. Sometimes the conversations slow down just a little bit. We had that happen last night. Not as much earth-shattering type conversations, arguments, no Muffin Gate, anything like that last night. But we still did have some conversations. Not everyone is completely on board on how the eviction is going to go on Thursday. So we still had some of that going on, some conversations about planning going forward. So still plenty to talk about. So let's get right into it. First of all, is a bit of a refresher. Remember that Daniel and Kyle are on the block. Michael's HOH, but his power is done unless there's a tie. And if that's the case, then Michael breaks the tie. Michael would vote to send Daniel out the door. It's not going to come down to that. It just seems like it's a foregone conclusion at this point that Daniel is heading out the door. The other side, the non-leftovers, had been trying to flip it around and get Kyle sent out the door. Not everyone is 100% convinced that's going to happen just yet. There's still people trying, but it looks like Kyle's going to be heading out the door. So with that being said, let's talk about the conversations that did take place last night. And with that, let's start off with Jasmine talking to Alyssa. Now, remember, Alyssa's showmance. They haven't officially called it yet, but Kyle is on the block. So Jasmine has a hard task here to try to convince Alyssa to vote out her showmance. But she and Daniel talked about it that before and said, yeah, if we can just get her, I think we're good. So Jasmine's talking to Alyssa, trying to convince her that, yeah, I know you don't want to do it and everything, but we've got to save Daniel. If we don't do that, then the other side is just going to pick us off one by one. Alyssa, this is our only chance to survive the game. So Jasmine is certainly putting the full amount of pressure on Alyssa that she needs to vote to go ahead and save Kyle. But Alyssa from the other side is saying, look, I don't know that we've got the votes. I think Michael will vote to send Daniel out the door. The best I can come up with a vote count is a tie, and at that point Michael sends out the door. So Jasmine, I get what you're saying, but just don't know that we've got the votes to make it work. So again, Jasmine saying, well, if we don't, our game's over. We're out the door. It's just a matter of who goes home first before the other one, but we're just going to get picked off one by one. And Alyssa saying, well, votes aren't there. All right, we've got Kyle and Jasmine talking. Kyle actually walks in on Alyssa and Jasmine talking, having this little speech. Jasmine's full speed. I got to get Kyle out the door. He walks in, everything changes. At this point, then it's Jasmine and Michael talking. I think Alyssa left at this point. And Kyle is talking to her. Jasmine is saying, look, Kyle, just so you know, Monty is going to be coming for you next week because he wants to break up this showmance. He's tired of it. He doesn't want it. So I hope you understand that he's coming for you next. Here's a situation where Jasmine is realizing that she probably is not going to be able to save Daniel. So backup plan, make sure she's in good with Kyle. Make sure that Kyle is seeing Monty as a target and not Jasmine or Indy or anyone from the girls' side. So she's saying, yeah, Monty's going to be coming after you. I just want you to know. Jasmine is also telling Kyle that she's figured out the alliance that exists on the other side of the house. And she knows that this alliance consists of Monty, Michael, Brittany, Taylor, and Turner. And she says, now, I'm not sure if you're in it or not. And of course, Kyle says, no, I swear I'm not in it. No, I don't have any clue about it. And she said, okay, well, then it's these five that are in this alliance together. And Kyle at one point says, what about Joseph? Is he in it? And Jasmine swears up and said, no, Joseph's not in it. I know Joseph. I would know if Joseph was in the alliance. He's not in the alliance. And Kyle says, well, even with Monty in it, that Joseph's still in it? No, trust me. I know Joseph. He's not in it, Kyle. So Jasmine is just refusing to believe that Joseph, who she feels a very tight connection with, could possibly be an alliance that does not involve her. Well, Jasmine, don't know if it's going to be next week or a little bit later. You'll be going to jury, so it may not be to the very end of there in September before you know for certain. But yes, Joseph is in the alliance, and it's just something that she has failed to recognize at this point in time. All right, we've got Joseph and speaking of Joseph, we've got Joseph and Taylor talking. This is a little bit more of a friendly chat. It's just more evidence that the two of these people are really hanging around a lot, enjoying each other's company. At one point, we actually heard, I think it was Taylor saying that this fake showmance kind of thing works pretty well because the two of them can talk game and everyone just assumes that they're flirting and everything. And she finishes it off by saying, now whether it becomes something real or not, I don't know. So I guess the opportunity is still there, but I think they both maybe right now are also seeing this as just a good opportunity to stay tight with each other by maybe making it seem like it's a little bit more than it is right now. Doesn't mean it won't change as we go forward, but the two of them are talking. Taylor is saying that she's realizing that maybe she's a little more traumatized by how she was treated in the beginning than she first realized. And she's recognizing that as she starts feeling a little upset with all these people that are working so hard to keep Daniel in the game at this point. Well, for once, it's more about protecting Daniel than going after her. There's probably still some of that as well. But she is just feeling a little off the fact that people are trying so hard to save someone that she is so ready to get out the door. At one point she said, well, strategically, maybe it'd be better to keep him. But from a personal standpoint, I want to see him gone. At this point in time, she just wants to see him gone. Forget the strategic. She wants Daniel out of the house. She is ready for that. All right, we've got Alyssa talking to Brittany and Michael, hoping that Kyle survives this vote coming up. And Brittany and Michael are saying, yeah, no, we're voting to send Daniel out. Michael's going to be good. So kind of calming Alyssa down a little bit, that now there's no secret plan afoot. Kyle's going to be okay. So I guess that Jasmine's speech didn't work so well if Alyssa is worried about it and doing what she can to save Kyle also. So they assure that Daniel's going home. But at this point, Alyssa mentions that she does not want to work with Jasmine and Indy. She's tired of working with the girls. She wants to move on at this point. She's also a little bit worried about Terrence. And she brings up again this idea that she and Kyle would really like to work with Brittany and Michael. I can see at least short term them working together. Michael has a little speech at the end of the evening where Alyssa's name comes up as one of the earlier targets. So it would not be a long-term deal, but at least short term, maybe these two have a little bit of a working relationship for the next few weeks or so. All right, we've got Daniel going around the house throughout the evening with more of his woe is me, life is horrible, I deserve to be here, other people don't, and I can't believe I'm going out the door kind of speeches. Same old at this point in time. We've also got Terrence talking to himself, the cameras, but mainly himself, laying in bed saying, at some point people are going to have to start playing the game. What's that old saying? If you don't see that there's an alliance in the Big Brother house, it just means that you're not part of it. If you don't see people playing the game inside the Big Brother house, it just means that you're not part of the gameplay. I think it's something like that because, yeah, Terrence, the game is well underfoot. There's a lot of people playing the game. You may not recognize that they're playing it. You will here before too long. All right, we've got Kyle talking to Brittany and Michael. Again, Alyssa talked to them a little bit earlier. Then Kyle comes up as talking as well. He tells them, says, look, Jasmine's got the alliance figured out. She knows 5 of the 7 in that alliance, and she's just assuming that Kyle and that myself and Joseph, that we're just kind of the dumb idiots that are just getting drug along. She doesn't think we're really part of it. She just thinks we're kind of accessories, that y'all 5 are the big ones, and we're just the dumb lunks that they're following along with it. So he is revealing that Jasmine's got some of this figured out. Jasmine's going to be a huge target next week. It all depends on who wins HOH, but Jasmine's going to be a huge target. All right, we've got Indy and Jasmine talking. Now, they start off whispering to each other. They pull a blanket over their heads so that you can't see what they're saying. You can't hear what they're saying. Big Brother tells them to knock it off. There's some rumors out there about what was said, that maybe 1 or 2 of the women under that blanket may have some crushes on some people. I'm not going to go into detail because I couldn't understand what was being said, and I don't want to pass on rumors that I don't know for certain. But there's rumors about what was said while they were under the blanket. But I do know that after they came back out of the blanket, Indy at one point says, we need to make a final 2. At which point Jasmine says, yeah, with who? And Indy says, us, we need to make a final 2. I don't think they did. You can't get any more clear about it and understand what's being said. But they're working together. They'll continue to work with each other, but I don't know that the word final two was ever agreed upon by these two, which that was pretty funny. Pretty obvious, but maybe not to everyone involved. Indy is talking, and Jasmine as well. They're talking about the fact that they think Michael is such a strong player. They can't believe people aren't looking stronger at Michael with as many comp wins as he's got, that he's just going to dominate this game. He's going to win it if he's at the end. Yeah, I think everyone is looking at that. That target on Michael's getting bigger and bigger. He's HOH this week, so no one's going to say anything or make too many pointed references just yet. But when he can't compete for HOH, when his bestie festie is an injured knee and probably won't be able to compete full speed either, next week, again, it depends on who wins HOH, but certainly I think Jasmine and Michael are probably two of the bigger targets that we may see at risk for this week coming up. All right, we've got the whole group up in the HOH room hanging out. At one point, they're playing Chinese checkers and all that, but they tried to prank Hyde from Indy. Indy came in, and I think at one point, they're all hiding, so she doesn't know where anyone in the house is. I think she eventually sees everyone's shoes, and so she knows they're up there, and the prank's over. They tried again with Jasmine, and I think she caught maybe Michael hiding in the bathtub or something, so that doesn't work. Eventually, Taylor comes up, and this time everyone hides except for Jasmine, and she's, I think, laying in the bed and just says, I don't know, maybe they're in the have-not room. Taylor goes down to check. No one's in the have-not room. She comes back, and everyone's just sitting there like nothing ever happened, like they've been there the whole time and all that. So, yeah, having a little fun on a boring Tuesday evening, playing some pranks on some different players. All right, we lost the feeds for over an hour for unknown reasons. I really don't know why, but when it comes back, we've got Kyle and Alyssa cuddling, and Daniel and Jasmine still plotting, still trying to come up with some votes and such, seeing if there's any opportunity to make this thing happen. There's not. All right, now here's one thing I thought. Alyssa and Kyle are cuddling in the Jetsons' bedroom, I think, and I got to say, I mean, they're cuddling pretty tight with each other. But Alyssa just does not seem like she's quite into Kyle as much as Kyle's into her. She's got kind of that faraway look in her eyes, like she's a little bit distracted, and she's just kind of laying there because, why not? But I just don't know that I see this going on forever beyond the game. We'll see. Maybe that's different, because they are talking about taking their level of intimacy a whole lot further than it's gone right now. So they're talking about, maybe we're not quite ready. Kyle says, I want to make it special, but the conversation is taking place. So maybe she is into it more than I thought, but she just had that look there for a second, like, whatever. So they're talking about that. Later, Kyle jokingly is talking about the eviction speech he'll have to give Thursday night. And he tells Alyssa, says, maybe I'll just proclaim my love for you at that point in time. I'll ask you to marry me, and we'll just do it right here on live TV. And Alyssa at that point says, well, I'll say yes if you do. That'd make for interesting TV now, wouldn't it? I think Kyle's mom would have a meltdown, but it'd make for interesting TV. And finally with that, the house guests are so boring last night that Big Brother gives in and gives them a bunch of booze. And I think several of them gave wine to Taylor. So there's a few, I think Turner had quite a bit as well. There's a few house guests that got more than their share. Daniel did too. I think Daniel said, what are you going to do? Boot me out of the house. So he had a little more than he was supposed to have, but we had a few house guests that had a little alcohol last night. And next thing you know, lots of very inappropriate conversations taking place. And I'll just let y'all go back to the feeds if y'all want to watch that. But yeah, a lot of sex talk and things like that took place once the booze came through. So we did have some of that. All right. We also had Michael and Joseph and Monty and Taylor and Turner in the HOH room. Michael is complaining about the fact that Jasmine has really been guilting him about the fact that I guess her birthday and her father's birthday are both upcoming next week. That she's been going on and on about that as a way to maybe, for the longest time, Jasmine was saying, you'd have to be a real coward to put me on the block while my ankle is hurt and injured and I can't compete. Well, now that her ankle's getting a little bit better, I guess she's saying now how horrible it would be for her to be on the block on the week of her birthday and her dad's birthday. So Michael's saying, she's guilting me about that. Joseph is mentioning that it's going to be kind of an awkward birthday for Jasmine if she celebrates it while she's on the block. And I think at one point Joseph and Taylor both say, nah, we don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. So don't know that little sympathy is going to work so well for the week coming up. So while they're all meeting in the HOH room, we've got Brittany in the have not room, and Brittany's having a little bit of a meltdown. She's sitting in a lawn chair, just silently crying to herself, looking down at the floor. She's done this a few times before. I don't know if it's a little homesickness, if it's just a little bit the stress building up of playing the Big Brother game. My guess it's a little bit of both. It's stressful in that house. And this is Brittany's way of coping, so I'm not too worried about it, but she does have a little cry session of her own in the have not room. All right, with that being said, we have a fairly long speech of Michael in the HOH room. He finally gets the HOH room all to himself. So he has a speech to the cameras. He's a little fired up. I think Joseph did a pretty good job of pointing out to Michael that he could be a big target from the other side, and that just be aware, Michael. So now Michael's kind of pumped up, thinking that he could easily be targeted next week. So he's talking all about that. He does mention, and he said this the night before as well, but he's saying that he wants a final four of himself, Brittany, which makes sense, and also Taylor and Turner. You notice that Kyle and Alyssa aren't mentioned in that final four list, right? They want to work with him, but he's not quite as sold on working with them. So that's who he wants as his final four: himself, Brittany, Turner, and Taylor. Now, he's also talking about the fact that he has tried to be inclusive while he's played this game, that no one except the leftovers wanted to work with him. But he tried to be inclusive with everyone as much as possible, and he's going to stick with the people that were willing to stick with him. He's tired of the people who have not been willing to kind of accept everyone in that house itself. He mentions that he wants the following people gone, and I'm not sure if this is his order of preference. I kind of think it probably is. But he mentions that he wants Jasmine, Alyssa, Indy, Terrence, Joseph, and then Kyle gone. And again, in that order, yeah, perhaps so. So hold Kyle until final five. But you notice Jasmine's number one on his list. Alyssa's right behind him. So he definitely is ready to get the ladies out of this house at this point in time. He's not turning on the leftovers just yet. He's got to be careful because I do believe once you get to those final five would be Kyle, final six would be Joseph. I left Monty out. I'm not sure where Monty is in that list, but you got to be careful because I think Joseph and Monty are going to have a lot of power. You're going to have to come after him before too long. And Michael's ready to boot a bunch of people out of the house. He's also mentioning that he is going to call Daniel out in his goodbye message. It's going to be a scathing goodbye message that he's just going to address the way Daniel has acted inside the house. So I'm looking forward to that. They don't always show goodbye messages as part of the live episode. I hope they do this week. We'll see, because it may, between Taylor's goodbye message and Michael's goodbye message, there may be some fun ones for Daniel this week. He's also saying that he's a little chapped that the other side keeps going on and on saying that they're the ones playing the real effing Big Brother game, and they're the only ones playing the game and all that. And Michael's saying, if that's the case, then where's Nicole? Where's Amira? If y'all are playing the game so well, how come y'all keep losing people from your side? Well, yeah, maybe they aren't playing the game quite as well as they think they are. He also mentions that he can't wait to send Jasmine home. Now, he won't be HOH next week, so he won't have the final say, but he certainly is going to be on board, and I think he's going to be pushing to potentially get Jasmine out the door. All right, we've got more cuddling from Alyssa and Kyle at this point. They start off up in the bumper pool area, talking about travels, candles, friends, blah, 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 blah. Just flirty kind of stuff. Eventually, they move on to the have-not room. Nothing of importance going on with that. Finally, we've got all the house guests in bed by, I don't know, about 3:30 or so Big Brother time. At that point, just when you think they're shutting down for the night, just when I think I'm getting ready to shut down for the night, Daniel gets back up, heads into the main room, the dining room, and just sitting at the table. He eats some cake that Indy made, complains about how horrible it is, how sweet it is, and all that. Eventually sits down at the tables, looking at the memory board, and talking about how much he wishes there was some kind of special power to save him, complaining that one of these bozos is going to win $750,000. He's saying he'd love for it to be, I think, Michael and Jasmine, one of those two winning it. I could see Michael. Jasmine, not so much. I think Jasmine very well could be one of the first members of the jury, but Daniel definitely has his. Oh, he mentions, I think, Terrence as well. So he's got certainly his favorites, people who he's worked with, but he's just sitting there kind of reminiscing, and he gets upset when the lights turn on. And I think right after that, he goes back to bed. I get it. It's really an interesting experience being in that Big Brother house when all the lights are off in the middle of the night and just looking around and just taking a moment to realize that you actually are in there. And it meant something special when I did it a few times as well. So the mood is broken once the lights come back on. Eventually, Daniel's back in bed as well. And there you have it, guys. So earth-shattering news, conversations? No, not really. Jasmine's still trying to work her magic. It's not going to work. Daniel's heading home this week. The bigger question is going to be who wins the HOH and what do they do with that power? Who's protected going forward? Michael, Jasmine, Terrence, perhaps. Those three could easily be big targets. Maybe Monty if Indy or Jasmine was to win this HOH. It's an endurance competition. I'm probably not putting a whole lot of bets on Jasmine to win the thing. Ankle and all that, but we'll find out. So guys, there you have it. Tomorrow's eviction day. We'll have a little bit more. We'll see if there's any last minute pitches going on. Anyone tries to blow up anyone's game. Sometimes that could happen. We'll find out how people respond when they find out that they're heading out the door. But until then, guys, y'all have a fantastic Wednesday. I will be back tomorrow to give you a new recap. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.